Hey man, this is going to sound backwards at first, maybe even stupid, if you've been conditioned to believe that holding on is love, but sometimes the only way you keep someone in your life is by showing them you're fully capable of living without them, not in a manipulative way, not as a tactic, but as a truth. Because the moment a woman senses that your entire emotional stability depends on her presence, something shifts, the energy tightens, the dynamic tilts, you start gripping, she starts pulling away. And the tighter you hold, the more she feels the need to breathe. Letting go isn't weakness, it's strength without desperation. It's saying, I want you, but I don't need you to survive. And that difference changes everything. Most men panic when they feel distance. They text more, they call more, they try harder, they over-explain, they overcorrect. They think love is proven by effort under pressure. But what she often feels in that moment isn't devotion, it's pressure. When someone feels like they're responsible for your emotional state, attraction turns into obligation, and nothing kills desire faster than feeling obligated. When you allow space instead of forcing reassurance, you're not giving up, you're demonstrating emotional security. You're showing her that your world doesn't collapse just because she stepped back, and that calm, grounded response, that's what makes her reconsider her distance. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you try to convince someone to stay, you lower your value in their eyes. Not because love is a game, but because attraction thrives on choice. If she feels like she's choosing you freely, the connection feels powerful. If she feels like she's being persuaded, guilted, or emotionally pulled back in, it feels heavy. When you let her go without drama, without begging, without ultimatums, you return the power of decision to her. And paradoxically, that's when she starts feeling the weight of what walking away actually means. Letting go forces clarity, for her, for you. When you remove yourself from chasing, she no longer gets the comfort of knowing you'll always be there, no matter what she does. She has to confront her own feelings without the cushion of your constant presence. And that silence, that absence, it speaks louder than paragraphs of emotional explanation. Because when you're no longer trying to manage her emotions for her, she has to sit with them herself. And that's where real awareness begins. You have to understand something deeper here. When you cling, you communicate fear. When you release, you communicate confidence. Fear repels, confidence attracts. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about knowing that your worth doesn't decrease just because someone walked away. If she leaves and you crumble, you confirm her doubts. If she leaves and you stay steady, focused, disciplined, you become unforgettable. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't. There's also a psychological layer most men ignore. When someone experiences your constant availability, your presence becomes predictable, familiar, safe, and predictability can quietly turn into complacency. But when you step back, not with anger, not with pettiness, but with composure, you interrupt that pattern. Suddenly she notices the silence. Suddenly she wonders what you're doing, who you're becoming, whether she miscalculated your value. And that curiosity, that's far more powerful than pressure. Letting go also protects you, because if she truly wants to leave, holding on only delays the inevitable while draining your dignity. When you release with strength, you maintain your frame, you maintain your standards, you communicate that your life continues with or without her participation, and that alone separates you from the men who beg for second chances at the cost of their self-respect. A man who can walk away calmly is far more compelling than a man who clings desperately. But here's the part most guys misunderstand. Letting go doesn't guarantee she'll come back, and that's the point. You don't release someone as a strategy to manipulate their return. You release because you respect yourself enough not to force connection. If she returns, it will be because she chose to, not because you cornered her emotionally. And if she doesn't, you've already positioned yourself to grow beyond her. Either outcome works in your favor, because your identity isn't tied to her decision. When you stop chasing, something inside you recalibrates. You start focusing on your body, your finances, your mission, your friendships. Your energy shifts from reactive to proactive, and women feel that shift. They sense when a man is anchored in purpose rather than consumed by attachment. It changes how you speak, how you move, how you carry yourself. Suddenly you're not trying to impress, you're simply existing at a higher standard. And ironically, that's when attraction rebuilds naturally. So if she says she needs space, give it. If she pulls away, don't chase. If she chooses to leave, don't block the door. Stand tall, wish her well, mean it. Then return to building your life with discipline and clarity. Because the man who can let go without losing himself is the man who cannot truly be lost. And whether she comes back or not, you win, because you kept your power, your peace, and your direction intact. Here's what most men don't realize. The moment you stop chasing, you stop feeding the dynamic that was pushing her away in the first place. When you are constantly reaching, reassuring, adjusting, and trying to secure the bond, you are unintentionally communicating uncertainty. And uncertainty, when it comes from you, weakens attraction. But when you pull back calmly, not in anger, not in ego, but in self-control, you flip the polarity. Now she feels the uncertainty. Now she wonders, and that shift in emotional positioning changes everything without you saying a word. Distance creates perspective. When you're always present, she doesn't have to evaluate your value. You become part of the background. But when you're gone, even temporarily, your absence forces comparison. She starts remembering your steadiness, your humor, the way you handled pressure, the way you didn't overreact. And memory, when not clouded by daily friction, becomes selective. It highlights strengths and softens flaws. That's why stepping back often allows appreciation to grow in silence. But here's the key. You cannot fake this. If you let go while secretly watching her every move, stalking her socials, waiting by your phone, you're still emotionally attached. And energy doesn't lie. You must genuinely detach from the outcome, not from caring, but from controlling. There's a difference. Caring is human, controlling is fear. When you release control, you release anxiety. And when your nervous system is calm, you move differently. You respond instead of react. You observe instead of chase. A woman can feel when a man is anchored in himself. It's subtle. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It's a quiet certainty. When you let her walk away without theatrics, without guilt tripping, without emotional explosions, you communicate something powerful. I value myself too much to beg. That message doesn't need to be spoken. It's felt. And often it lingers long after you've stepped out of her immediate orbit. Another thing, letting go exposes truth quickly. If she was looking for a reason to leave, your distance will confirm it. If she was confused but still emotionally invested, your absence will clarify it. Either way, you gain information without sacrificing your dignity. When you hold on too tightly, you blur the signal. You make it hard to see what's real, because everything is mixed with emotion, urgency, and panic. But space reveals intention. You also protect your masculine frame when you step back. Frame isn't about dominance, it's about emotional leadership. It's about being the stable center instead of the reactive participant. When she tests, withdraws, or creates tension, and you respond with calm detachment instead of desperation, you set the tone. You show that your emotional stability isn't negotiable, and that stability either draws her back in with respect or it filters her out completely. Both outcomes serve you. There's something else that happens when you release her. You rediscover yourself. When you're chasing, your focus narrows. You revolve around her moods, her texts, her validation. But when you stop, your vision widens. You start thinking bigger, training harder, working sharper, socializing more freely. And ironically, that expansion makes you more attractive, not just to her, but to everyone. Because a man focused on growth carries different energy than a man focused on retention. Understand this clearly. Attraction cannot be negotiated. You cannot logically convince someone to feel something. You cannot argue someone into desire. The only thing you can control is how you show up. And when you show up as a man who is willing to walk away rather than beg, you position yourself as a choice, not an obligation. Desire thrives in freedom. The more freedom you demonstrate, the more authentic her response becomes. Sometimes she will come back, not because you manipulated her, but because your absence created clarity, because she realized that stability is rare, that calm strength isn't easy to find, that your consistency wasn't boring, it was secure, and when she returns, it will feel different. The dynamic will shift, because she knows now that you are capable of moving forward without her. That knowledge resets respect, and if she doesn't come back, then she was never meant to stay. And you'll look back months later realizing that letting go was the turning point, not the loss. You'll see how your standards rose, how your discipline sharpened, how your peace increased. Because the man who can release with composure doesn't lose power, he consolidates it. And once you experience that shift, you'll never cling again. You'll choose, you'll evaluate, you'll allow, but you'll never beg. When you go silent with strength, not bitterness, not passive aggression, but actual composure, something uncomfortable happens on her side. The emotional leverage she once had over you starts dissolving. She was used to your reactions, your quick replies, your need to fix tension immediately, and when that pattern disappears, she feels the shift. Silence from a weak man feels like sulking, silence from a grounded man feels like distance, and distance triggers evaluation. Evaluation is powerful, because once she's evaluating, she's thinking, and once she's thinking, she's replaying moments, she's analyzing conversations, she's reconsidering her assumptions, but this only happens if your silence is clean. If you're posting indirectly about her, trying to provoke jealousy, or sending emotional breadcrumbs, you're still orbiting her world. Clean distance means you're genuinely focused elsewhere. That authenticity is what creates psychological gravity. Attraction doesn't die from space. It dies from predictability and emotional dependency. When she knew you would always chase, she never had to wonder, and wondering is part of desire, not insecurity, curiosity, the healthy kind, the kind that asks, what is he doing right now? Who is he becoming? When your life continues without pausing for her approval, you become dynamic again, not because you changed for her, but because you stopped centering her. Here's the deeper layer. When you detach, you force her to confront her own feelings without your reassurance buffering them. Before, if she felt uncertain, she could test you and receive immediate validation. Now she sits with that uncertainty alone, and uncertainty, when not immediately soothed, often turns into reflection. Reflection turns into clarity, and clarity sometimes turns into regret. But you can't wait around hoping for regret. That's still attachment disguised as patience. The real power move is shifting your focus to expansion. You improve your body, your skills, your network, your income, your mindset, not as revenge, not to show her, but because you finally redirected your energy back to where it belongs, yourself. When your identity is no longer wrapped around her attention, you become magnetic in a way that feels effortless. And if she reaches out, this is where most men fumble. They respond with emotional overflow. They reveal how much they missed her, how hard it was, how they never stopped thinking about her. That collapses the frame instantly. Calm men respond with warmth but restraint, interest but composure. You don't reward absence with desperation. You observe, you listen, you evaluate whether her return aligns with your standards now. Because here's the truth, once you've let go properly, you're not the same man anymore. The version of you that feared losing her doesn't exist. You've proven to yourself that you can survive distance. That realization builds internal strength, and strength shifts how you see her. You're no longer trying to keep her. You're deciding whether she fits into the life you're building. Some women test your silence. They'll send subtle messages, watch your stories, like old photos, small signals designed to see if you'll re-engage emotionally. If you jump immediately, you reset the old dynamic. If you respond measured and steady, you signal growth. Not coldness, not arrogance, growth. And growth demands respect. You also need to accept something uncomfortable. Sometimes she won't respond at all. No test, no return, no curiosity. And that's not failure. That's closure without drama. The absence of response is an answer. And when you can accept that calmly, without spiraling into self-doubt, you demonstrate a level of emotional maturity that most men never reach. The ultimate shift happens inside you. You stop viewing relationships as something you must secure at all costs. You start seeing them as something that must align with your direction. If she aligns, she stays. If she doesn't, she leaves. And you remain steady either way. That's when you truly become difficult to replace. Not because you played games, but because you mastered yourself. When she reappears, don't treat it like a victory. Treat it like data. Her return isn't proof that you won. It's proof that something shifted, either in her perception, her circumstances, or her emotional state. And if you rush to celebrate, you hand the power right back. The grounded man doesn't overreact to returns. He listens, he observes tone, he studies consistency, because attraction might bring her back, but character determines whether she stays. This is where your internal discipline matters most. It's easy to be strong when she's gone and you've accepted the loss. It's harder to remain strong when she shows warmth again. Familiar chemistry can cloud judgment. Old emotions can resurface, but remember why you let go in the first place. Was it misalignment, disrespect, instability? Those things don't disappear because she missed you for a week. Real change shows up in behavior over time, not in sweet words. If she comes back, slow the pace. That alone separates you from the version of yourself she left. You're not punishing her, you're protecting your standards. You don't dive back into emotional intensity just because the spark reignites. You let her demonstrate effort, consistency, initiative. When a woman senses that she must invest to rebuild access to you, the dynamic balances naturally. And here's something subtle but powerful: don't interrogate her about the time apart. Desperate men demand explanations. Secure men focus on the present. If she wants to share, she will. But if you sit there trying to extract emotional confessions, you communicate insecurity. Your strength lies in composure. You don't need every detail to move forward. You need alignment and respect. That's it. If she tests you again, emotionally pulling back, creating tension, waiting to see if you'll panic, your response determines everything. The old you would have reacted instantly. The new you stays centered. You don't chase mood swings. You don't negotiate with silence. You remain consistent. And consistency under pressure builds a reputation in her mind. This man does not fold. Understand something important. Women often respond more to how you handle discomfort than how you handle pleasure. Anyone can be confident when things are smooth. Real presence shows when there's tension. When she senses that your stability doesn't depend on her mood, it shifts her respect for you, not because you dominated the situation, but because you mastered yourself within it. There will also be moments where she tries to accelerate intimacy again. Deep talks, future plans, emotional intensity. It will feel good, but don't lose your center in the rush. Keep building your life, keep your schedule, keep your mission. Attraction strengthens when she feels that you're choosing to include her, not revolving around her. If, over time, her actions align with her words, if she shows consistency, calm, effort, then you allow trust to rebuild slowly. Trust isn't restored through promises, it's restored through patterns, and patterns take time. The disciplined man understands that time is the filter. If she's serious, she won't rush it. If she's impulsive, she'll reveal that too. And if she fades again, if the old cycle repeats, this time you won't be blindsided, because you've already proven to yourself that you can release without collapsing. You won't argue, you won't beg, you won't spiral. You'll simply step back with clarity. That's growth, not bitterness, not revenge, just clarity. At the end of it all, letting go was never about controlling her. It was about reclaiming yourself. The man who can release, rebuild, and re-engage without losing his center becomes rare, not because he plays games, but because he refuses to be played. Whether she stays this time or not, you walk forward stronger, not attached to outcome, but anchored in identity. The real shift doesn't happen when she comes back. It happens when you no longer fear her leaving. That's the foundation. Most men operate from quiet fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not finding someone better, fear of starting over. And that fear leaks into their behavior in subtle ways. It shows up as over-texting, over-explaining, over-accommodating. When you truly accept that you can walk alone if necessary, your behavior changes naturally. You stop negotiating from scarcity. You start moving from abundance. Internal confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to be announced. It's built through small private victories, waking up early when you don't feel like it, training when you're tired, finishing what you start, keeping promises to yourself. That discipline becomes the spine of your identity. And once your identity is anchored in your own standards, no woman can destabilize it with distance or uncertainty. A man who fears loss becomes reactive. A man who accepts loss becomes strategic. He doesn't chase clarity, he creates it. He doesn't beg for reassurance, he observes behavior. And because he's not operating from panic, he sees red flags earlier. He senses inconsistency faster. Emotional detachment sharpens perception. Attachment clouds it. You also stop personalizing everything. If she pulls away, you don't immediately assume you failed. If she tests your boundaries, you don't interpret it as rejection. You see it as information, and information is power. The emotionally steady man collects data quietly. He watches how she behaves under stress, how she communicates during conflict, how she handles not getting her way. These patterns tell you more than any romantic speech ever could. When you no longer fear losing her, your energy becomes calm, and calm is magnetic, not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. In a world where everyone is anxious, dramatic, reactive, the man who stays centered stands out without trying. Women feel safe around that kind of energy. They feel challenged by it too, because stability exposes instability. You must also detach from the illusion that one person determines your happiness. That belief creates emotional dependency. When your life is full, physically, mentally, financially, socially, a relationship becomes an addition, not a foundation. And additions enhance, foundations support. If you try to make her your foundation, you place pressure on something that was never meant to carry that weight. Building confidence also means expanding your options, not necessarily dating multiple people recklessly, but improving yourself to the point where you know you have choices. Scarcity breeds desperation, options breed composure. When you know you can attract again, connect again, rebuild again, you stop clinging to what's unstable. You start choosing what's aligned. There's another layer here: emotional self-control. When she says something designed to provoke you, when she withdraws affection to see how you respond, your reaction is the test, not her behavior. If you explode, you fail yourself. If you collapse into pleading, you fail yourself. But if you remain steady, speak calmly, and maintain boundaries, you elevate the dynamic. Over time, this steadiness reshapes how women treat you. Not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. People mirror the emotional frame you hold. If you're chaotic, you invite chaos. If you're grounded, you attract balance. And if someone continues to bring instability into your life despite your composure, you have the clarity to exit without guilt. This is the final truth most men learn too late. Letting go isn't about losing someone. It's about proving to yourself that you are enough on your own. Once you internalize that, relationships stop being survival. They become selection. You don't hold on out of fear. You don't release out of anger. You move forward out of self-respect. And the man who moves from self-respect is the man who cannot be shaken, no matter who stays, who leaves, or who returns.